This is the Wells Report, which will return in 2 minutes. You're listening to the Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning, I'm John David Wells. It's Fishing Shirt Friday. If you're not wearing your fishing shirt, by all means, go put it on. So what do we do on this broadcast? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media. We make commentary. That is not news. Commentary is just opinion, both yours and mine, and so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. It is the Wells Report. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday leading up to a wonderful weekend. There is, as you know, always lots of news, and that's what we cover on this broadcast. But first, time now for the front page. This is news since yesterday's broadcast and while we were asleep. In national news, the Roanoke College female college swim team has revolted. This after a bio male tried to join the team. Fox News reports the Roanoke College women's swim team stood up as a group to speak out for fairness in sports after a biological male attempted to join their team. With their parents, supporters, and advocates in the fight, including Riley Gaines and Paula Scanlon, a former teammate of Leah Thomas. In the crowd inside a downtown Roanoke, Virginia hotel, the 10 members became the first group of college teammates to speak out as a unit. Teammate after teammate walked up to the podium with a similar message. The women had been demoralized and hurt by their Division III school after they had returned to campus this fall knowing that a biological male, who is not being named out of the wishes of the team, would be attempting to pull what they call a Leah Thomas. My feelings, our team's feelings, and our comfort were blatantly ignored, and only one athlete was prioritized, said 19-year-old Kate Pearson, one of the team's 3 captains. The British Prime Minister has stepped up to spend a little bit of time talking about this issue. Fox News reports United Kingdom Prime Minister Rishi Sunak went viral this week for a speech in which he said no one should be bullied into believing that people can be any sex they choose. Sunak, the first British Asian to hold the high office, said in his remarks that the Conservative Party conference on Wednesday should adopt that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, which was met with loud applause by the party faithful. Quote, "We're going to change this country, and that means life." Now, that shouldn't be a controversial position. The vast majority of hardworking people agree with it. It shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. Man is a man. A woman is a woman. That's just common sense. Also in national news, Hillary Clinton has called for a formal deprogramming of Trump supporters. This from Fox News. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton called for a formal deprogramming for many supporters of former President Donald Trump during a CNN interview. Discussing the recent upheaval on Capitol Hill, Clinton contrasted what she called the sane part of the GOP caucus, who helped prevent a government shutdown, with the cult wing devoted to Trump. Quote, "That's the way it used to be." She was speaking, by the way, with CNN's Christiane Amanpour. This happened yesterday. Quote, "I mean, we had very strong partisans in both parties in the past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism waving, wagging the dog if the Republican Party or of the Republican Party as it is today." Also, she continued, and sadly, many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Clinton continued, quote, "Because at some point, there needs to be a formal deprogramming of all cult members, but something needs to happen." Unquote. Iowa protesters rammed Ramaswamy's car. This from Fox News. Protesters rammed their car into the back of campaign vehicle of Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy ahead of an event held in Grinnell, Iowa. This according to Fox News. A group of liberal protesters appeared outside Ramaswamy's event at Saints Rest Coffee House on Thursday. That's yesterday. Ramaswamy's campaign told Fox News that a female driver of a blue Honda Civic and a passenger were yelling expletives at the GOP hopeful, giving him the middle finger and blaring the car horn. The driver later hit the rear of the campaign-parked SUV and drove off, although the campaign could not definitively say whether it was intentional. Grinnell Police Department confirmed with Fox News Digital that police were called to the scene over a property damage incident. Donald Trump says he's open to be the Speaker of the House. This from Forbes magazine. Former President Donald Trump, who has been mulling a visit to the Capitol next week to potentially launch a bid for House Speaker, told Fox News yesterday he'd be open to a short-term Speaker position, which the 2024 presidential candidate could technically take, following the removal of former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, the Republican from California, from the speakership after less than 9 months. Trump told Fox News he was asked whether he would serve as House Speaker as a unifier if the GOP cannot gather enough votes for another candidate, though he declined to say who asked him to serve. Trump said he would not do it because I want to, but because he had been approached by Republicans to take the position, and would offer to do it until a longer-term replacement could be put in place. House rules do not prohibit non-members from being elected to the speakership, though Trump's 4 indictments since his 2024 presidential campaign launch could keep him from becoming speaker, according to GOP conference rules, which state that indicted leadership members with 2+ year sentences shall step aside. News from the United States military. Allegations have been levied against President Trump for sharing nuclear sub-details. This after leaving the White House. ABC News is reporting that months after leaving the White House, former President Donald Trump allegedly discussed a potentially sensitive bit of information or two about U.S. nuclear submarines with a member of his Mar-a-Lago club, an Australian billionaire, who then allegedly shared the information with scores of others, including more than a dozen foreign officials, several of his own employees, and a handful of journalists, according to sources familiar with the matter. The potential disclosure was reported to special counsel Jack Smith's team as they investigated Trump's alleged hoarding of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, according to sources speaking with ABC News. The information could shed further light on Trump's handling of sensitive government secrets. Prosecutors and FBI agents have at least twice this year interviewed the Mar-a-Lago member, Anthony Pratt, who runs U.S.-based Pratt Industries, one of the world's largest packaging companies. In those interviews, Pratt described how, looking to make conversation with Trump during a meeting at Mar-a-Lago in April of 2021, he brought up the American submarine fleet, which the two had discussed before, according to sources with ABC News. According to Pratt's account, described by sources, Pratt told Trump he believed Australia should start buying its submarines directly from the United States, to which an excited Trump leaning in toward Pratt as if to be discreet, then told Pratt two pieces of information about U.S. submarines, the supposed exact number of nuclear warheads they routinely carry, and exactly how close they supposedly can get to a Russian submarine without being detected. Also in the U.S. military news, DoD is planning to cut special forces. This from the Wall Street Journal. The Pentagon is poised to make controversial cuts to the Army's storied Special Operations Forces amid recruiting struggles and a shift in focus from the Middle East counterterrorism operations to a threat from China. The Army is cutting about 3,000 troops, or 10%, from its special operations ranks, which could include so-called trigger pullers from the Green Beret commando units, who have conducted some of the nation's most dangerous and sensitive missions around the world, from the jungles of Vietnam to the back alleys of Baghdad. The reductions would enable the U.S. Army to rebalance toward large conventional ground forces needed for a potential fight in Asia. The trim in ranks of the special forces would also help the Army cope with a recruiting shortfall in a stronger labor market. But opponents of the cuts, notably senior special operations officers, have argued they could hinder the training of U.S. partners, including the Ukrainian and Taiwanese militaries, and limit the elite unit's abilities to respond to crises. In state news today, Wisconsin, a mother has won a court ruling over transition policy of a school. A Wisconsin judge ruled Tuesday of this week in favor of parents and their right to know about their children's gender transition. Parents sued the Kettle Moraine School District outside Milwaukee, Wisconsin, over its policy that enabled and supported student transitions to different gender identities at school without informing or receiving consent from children's parents. Judge Michael Maxwell ruled in the Waukesha County Circuit Court that the policy, quote, violates parents' constitutional rights to determine the appropriate medical and health care for their children, unquote. Going forward, the judge said the district is no longer permitted to allow or require staff to refer to students using a name or pronouns at odds with the student's biological sex while at school without express parental consent. Out of California, a Stanford professor is now warning that equity math will fail. This also from Fox News. A Stanford math professor issued a stark warning yesterday on California's new math curriculum, arguing the push for equity could backfire academically as students continue to reel from post-COVID learning loss. Brian Conrad, who read the entire 1,000-page teaching framework, joined Fox and Friends to discuss why the efforts to include conventional math curriculum is critical in preparing kids for careers in college later in life. Quote, there are things like advocating these alternate math options, which are claimed to be pro-equity, but in fact, the experience of San Francisco, for example, shows that when you block 8th grade Algebra 1, which was done in an effort to improve demographics in high school success rates, in fact, was a complete failure, unquote. He went on to say, and yet this has been popping up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's being proposed in Connecticut and other places, and this doesn't work. And in Indiana, Momo the monkey, howling at the moon, has returned home safely. This from Fox News. The Indianapolis Police Department conducted a little monkey business after an elusive primate named Momo escaped from his owner's home and managed to elude capture for approximately 24 hours. The escape was first reported Wednesday evening when the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department received several calls about a pet monkey that had escaped from a residence in the city's east side around 6 p.m. Authorities immediately sprang into action, launching search efforts to track down the evasive and elusive Momo. According to the IMPD, Momo had broken into a vacant home. Police were quickly on his tail, trapping him inside by shutting the doors. When Momo moved to a vacant bathroom, authorities closed that door as well. With the help of the owner's brother, the monkey was captured. Momo, by the way, is a patas monkey known to be the fastest primate on Earth that can move at speeds of up to 34 miles an hour. This according to the Southwick Zoo in Mendon, Massachusetts. And that is today's front page. Momo the monkey has been running around and howling at the moon. That's kind of a slang term that I use whenever I decided that I would escape my house and go running around the neighborhood. Normally I grab a fast car and drive around as fast as I possibly can without killing anyone or getting a ticket. And that's what I call howling at the moon, although there are some times when I would go to a favorite watering hole establishment and listen to a fabulous band like I did last night, for example. I enjoyed the Lindsay Kate Band yesterday at Tolbert's, one of my favorite places in North Texas. If you ever come to North Texas, there are a lot of things you can go see. One of them is a small town called Grapevine, which is between Fort Worth and Dallas. And in Grapevine, there's this restaurant called Tolbert's. It's a family establishment. It's been in business for decades. Their chili is without peer, and they do indeed bring local bands in to entertain the public. And frankly, the Lindsay Kate Band is one of the best bands I've ever heard, not in superstar status, touring the country and the world. That band is hot, just plain hot. So I went out howling at the moon. By the way, I wasn't captured after locking myself in the bathroom or being given a banana. This is the Wells Report. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells, and this is Fishing Shirt Friday. And while we're on the subject of wonderful fashion, high fashion, anybody who knows about Crocs, I'm wearing them right now, in fact, knows that the footwear is really kind of cool, actually. Crocs has just unveiled their classic cowboy boots. That's right, Crocs, cowboy boot. Oh, okay, we've got a phone call. Good morning. Welcome to the Wells Report. Hi, who's this?
Good morning. It is Kelly. Boomer Sooner.
Kelly from. Oh, okay. Can you hang on just a second? I was talking about cowboy boots. It's really
Cowboy boots.
Huh?
Them what them Longhorns wear.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's see. Boomer Sooner, and you brought up Longhorns. That means there must be some kind of important football game or
There
something.
is the game
The
of the
game.
year.
The game
Yes.
of the year. Okay.
The
so-
game of the year.
And you
That's
just
right.
decided to call and derail the broadcast. I mean, we
well,
could
it
talk.
was just
we-
on accident.
Yeah, we could talk about Crocs and their cowboy boots, but let's talk about the game.
Let's talk about the game.
How many days has it been since Texas has won the Big 12
I knew
champ?
you were going to ask me that.
You
It
didn't
is
check, did you?
No, I checked.
Oh.
Hell, I get the text every day. It's 5,041 days.
Since Texas, the
Since they've won a
Longhorns.
Big 12
Yeah.
or any conference championship in football. Thank you.
And you keep track of that, don't you?
I do. I
Uh-huh.
get a text every day. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
sit around and count, but yeah, I get it. I'm on some website that sends out a text every day letting us know
Yeah.
that it's been that many days and since the Longhorns. But let's just be fair. The Longhorns whipped our ass last year.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to do it again this year, don't you think?
You're out of your ever loving mind. You're high. You must be high.
Okay, what have I
No.
missed? Bring me
Well,
up to date.
okay,
Bring me
first
up to
of
date
all-
about Boomer Sooner football.
Okay.
Sooner, not Sooner.
First of all, our starting quarterback, our starting running back was out last year.
Ah.
Our starting linebacker and one of our safeties was out last year.
Uh-huh.
This year, Oklahoma is in the top 5 in scoring offense, and we are in top 5 in defense, which is uncharacteristic of this team.
Yeah.
So we're only allowing 10 points a game, and we're scoring 47 points a game. So completely different team. Brent Venables has finally got some of his own players in there, and we owe them one. In fact, I have a shirt on that says "we," and then it has OU. You know.
OU won.
Yeah, we owe you an ass whipping.
Oh my!
That's right. They whipped our butts last year.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna
You're going to
we're
return the favor.
That we're gonna return the favor.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah.
But they're good. But I always love it. That's this time last year. Everybody's saying Texas is back, and
Yeah.
they were 5-0 going into the game, and they
Yeah.
didn't even play for the conference championship
Uh-huh.
once again.
Right.
So
Well, it's
Anyway.
possible, and then the number is going to have to start over from 5,000 and something to 1. And what will you do? Will you
well-
be totally disparate over that?
no, it's not going to happen. They're not going to win the championship this year either.
You don't think so?
No.
Uh-huh.
No, I think the two teams will be playing for the championship in November or December. Will be the same two teams playing tomorrow.
Right.
So I don't know. The Big 12 is kind of down this year. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen to them next year. After
I was just going to say,
Oklahoma
isn't the
and
Big
Texas leave.
isn't the Big 12 championship or isn't the Big 12 conference going away?
No, because they have they got all these teams like USC, Houston, BYU, Cincinnati all came in. So
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's right. The
um,
Pac-12 is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got Colorado, and I think they got Arizona State, and maybe I can't remember who all they got, but they got a bunch of teams from the Pac-12, and some from some mid conference somewhere. I don't know where Houston and USCF
Yeah.
came from, but there's some small conference. But
So
it'll be interesting to see.
So
who's
there is
kinda-
there's a little bit of a treacherous rumor going on that the jersey you're going to wear later on today or tomorrow rather, it has a little bit of burnt orange soda into the underside of it. Is that true?
No.
Are you
I
sure?
Would never, ever wear
Yeah,
anything.
I
burnt
think
orange.
that you dost protest too much, ma'am. I'm just saying. I think you're kind of a closet Longhorn fan.
Oh my God! You know what? When I see you,
Yeah.
I'm gonna owe you an ass whipping.
Okay. All right.
No, I think I do believe.
I gotta
that
go.
there's been- okay.
Gotta
All right,
go.
I'll let
Love
go.
you very
Take care.
much.
Bye.
Talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye bye.
Bye.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Thanks for joining us. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. One of the interesting things about the Obama administration is that Communist Party rhetoric became part of the American political lexicon. And that, oh, by the way, led to full-on, well, self-declared socialists. Bernie Sanders was a fraud. He'd never lived in a socialist country. But he showed up and started talking about socialism and spreading the lies that have cost tens of millions of people, if not hundreds of millions of people, their lives because socialism kills its citizens. Anyway, he started telling those lies and so on and so on, and Democrats started voting for him so much so the Democrat Party, realizing that they had a major problem, had to stop Bernie Sanders, and that's how we got President Biden. That being said, Hillary Clinton is also a part of that mix, and as time has gone by, it seems more and more and more that Hillary Clinton is actually a hardcore Marxist. And she has said something in a CNN interview with Christiane Amanpour that raised my eyebrows, and I wanted to share it with you, and you will probably and doubtlessly figure out exactly why I was so concerned about it as soon as you watch this.
A whole new way of trying to, get legislation going and cross-party governance going by Democrats and certain Republicans forming a coalition.
Well, you saw the number of Republicans who voted along with Democrats to keep the government open. So there's clearly a common sense, sane part of the Republican caucus in the House. But I think they are intimidated. They oftentimes, say and do things which they know better than to say or do. And it will require us defeating those most extreme measures and the people who promote them in order to try to get to some common ground where people can, again, work together. That's the way it used to be. I mean, we had very strong partisans in both parties in the past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, gun control and climate change and the economy and taxes. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. Mm-hmm. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
And how do you do that? Because you said you have to defeat them by defeating their leader. Their leader is Donald Trump. Even you have said that you expect him to be the Republican nominee. How does this change at all?
At this point, I think, sadly, he will still likely be the nominee, and we have to defeat him. And we have to defeat those who are the election deniers, as we did in 2020 and 2022. And we have to, just be smarter about how we are trying to empower the right people inside the Republican Party.
Yeah, empower the right people inside the Republican Party. Yeah, there were all kinds of problems with that statement. Now, I've said time and time again that if you sit behind a microphone like I do, or sit in front of a television camera like many people around the nation do, long enough, you're going to say something remarkably stupid. The quiet part out loud. And Hillary Clinton is talking about formal deprogramming of what she calls Trump cult members. And she talks about this little tail of extremism. Now, I'm bringing this up because of the context of Hillary Clinton. She is a baby boomer, and she grew up or came of age as a college student in the 1960s. That decade nearly brought down the United States of America with this little tail of extremism. Real domestic terrorists, the Weathermen, who bombed the Capitol building. Those were Democrats, the Students for a Democrat Society. in Chicago in 1968 led a riot that is made the Capitol 6th, or excuse me, the January 6th Capitol riots look like a cakewalk. The Watts riots earlier in the decade, Detroit, Chicago. That little tail of extremism seems to be left out of this. And you don't have to go back that far. The social justice riots of 2020. What about that little tail of extremism? What about that little tail of, cult members that were empowered by the left's absolute fear of Donald Trump? What about all that? There were 147 so-called social justice riots following George Floyd. Hundreds of people killed, people maimed, buildings burned, including federal buildings. What about that little tail of extremism? But 147 in the summer of 2020. In 2021, there was one so-called riot, it could be a riot, at the Capitol building on January 6th. The idea that there were more people that were arrested, thrown in jail for inordinately large sentences after January 6th vis-a-vis the 2020 social justice riots is now coming out. I was talking about it a year ago, or maybe two, and being shouted down by leftists. But it seems like leftists are not interested in just shouting down. Now they're interested in re-education. Yeah, re-education. Deprogramming, all based on absolute hypocrisy. The American left has always done this. When they are facing serious political losses, they send out the thugs. They did it in the 60s, and now they're doing it again, thinking that people are just too old to remember. Well, I remember. I remember icy gut ball in my stomach, watching these riots unfold and the assassinations of 1968, fearing for my country. I remember all of that. And that was all leftist political action. And they're still at it. Now we have to have re-education. It's time to wake. Americans, you must wake. Being lulled to sleep by these totalitarian communists is I got to be honest with you, is effective. It's working. These people are saying exactly what they believe and what they want to impose on the people of the United States out loud. A direct antithesis to what this nation is all about. And the mainstream media, Christiane Amanpour and CNN, they're all part of it. But then again, that's part and parcel of the political machine that's running this nation, or any political machine. You have to have the secret police. The left does. You have to have the media. The left does. You have to have certain factions of the United States military. The left does. You have to be able to manipulate the certain things that are required for a society: food, medical care, energy, and indeed commerce, money. And the left is either in charge of those things or working to be in charge of those things. It's happening right in front of us. And what are we doing about it? Not enough. Oh yeah, on X, this very morning, in fact, a lot of people shouting down Hillary Clinton for these comments. And it's just awful. Let's get back in. Speaking of those comments, let's get back into them here. That's the way it used to be. I mean, very strong partisans on both sides of the political past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, but there wasn't this extremism. That's garbage. That's absolute garbage. And by the way, you don't have to have actual physical violence. The cancel culture, very, very seriously insidious and very effectively used. Yeah, it was 25 years ago. It was awful and terrible, and That guy who's running that mega corporation over there said I had a nice butt, and I was absolutely horrified and traumatized by it. Poof, he's gone. Yeah, there are all kinds of problems with this. It all circumvents the Constitution of the United States. And by the way, Hillary Clinton is not discussing genuine partisans. She's discussing politicians from the Republican Party that could be pushed around. And that is what she's talking about when she talks about helping out Republican politicians who help the Democrat Party and enable their agenda. Like, you guessed it, Kevin McCarthy. And that's why she's talking. And that's why she's saying the things she's saying. This idea of a swamp, this idea of a political class, thinking only of the needs of the political class, completely and totally real. And you can say what you want about Matt Gaetz and those 8 Republicans who essentially removed Kevin McCarthy. But Kevin McCarthy did indeed make some very provocative deals with the Democrat Party. Part and parcel of the the Republican Party's enablement of Democrat policy. Kevin McCarthy wasn't doing anything that hadn't been done in the past. Mitch McConnell is a perfect practitioner of this. You know, it's like Chuck Schumer is the alpha dog in the Senate. And Mitch McConnell is the perfect beta male. Whatever you say, Chuck, I'll help you out no matter what. I may have to argue with you in public, but we'll take care of these things in private. And they do. And that is exactly what Kevin McCarthy was doing. And yeah, those people were agents of change in removing Kevin McCarthy. I don't think Kevin McCarthy was a bad guy. I don't even think that Kevin McCarthy was a bad speaker. The only thing that I think about when it comes to the removal of Kevin McCarthy from the speakership of the United States House of Representatives is this. This nation is $33 trillion in debt. The House runs the purse. And they have not done anything about it until Matt Gaetz said, okay, enough's enough, I'm standing up. And look at how he's been vilified. Same thing with the other 8. There are threats against these people. We're going to remove your committee assignments. Oh, really? You are, huh? How many seats do you want to lose in the next election? Well, you can't vote us out of office. My God, the Democrats will take over. Sure they will. So you have a choice. If you want to go down in flames playing softball with Democrats, then go down in flames. The only difference between Democrat policy enabled by Republicans and Republicans being thrown out of office because they suck is the speed at which these Democrat priorities are actually legislated and put into action. That's the only difference. Look at what is happening when the Democrats move too fast, or more appropriately, I'm not blaming everything on Democrats. The left. Look at what happens when they move too quickly. Suddenly you have parents showing up at school board meetings. And yeah, those are serious conversations. So serious, in fact, the left realizes, my God, we've got to do something about this. Well, what is it? Change your policies? Oh, no. No, we're going to have the FBI. We're going to sick the FBI on these parents. That's the way the totalitarian political machine works. Listen, these people are playing for keeps. They're trying to change the nation into this so-called brilliant European socialism we've heard so much about. Except it's not European socialism. It's full-on communist Marxist socialism that will kill thousands of people, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions. We've already seen that. We've seen leftist policies kill 70,000 Americans already with fentanyl. Why? Because the border's wide open. Why hasn't the border been closed? Because the left wants the border open. To redemography the United States of America. Not to do work that Americans won't do, but to cast votes Americans won't cast. That's what all this is. And this socialist policy, this idea of importing people who have grown up in socialist countries to vote for more socialism, that is not a myth. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is exactly what is happening. And we, the people, are being bullied into not following what we know to be the American task, the American path, which is to jealously guard our freedoms and liberties from people just exactly like Hillary Clinton. And they are so emboldened and they are so full of hubris, they say it right out loud and even brag about it. It's horrendous. It's the Wells Report. It's back in a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. So there is a guy who is across the pond. His name is Rishi Sunak. He is the first British agent to be the Prime Minister of British Parliament. And he was talking to his Conservative Party colleagues the other day and had some truly amazing things to say regarding the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ plus, questioning what have you, agenda. And this is what he had to say. It's brilliant. Watch this.
We are going to change this country, and that means life means life. Now, that shouldn't be a controversial position. The vast majority of hard-working people agree with it. And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
It's amazing. When you say it that way, it seems like it makes so much sense. Well, because, it makes so much sense. This is the Conservative Party of Great Britain. This is something that I believe that you and I and people that are dissatisfied with the Republican Party should seriously consider, and that is joining or creating the Conservative Party of the United States. Because the Republican Party is not a conservative party. The Republican Party is about enabling Democrat priority items. In fact, the Republican Party used to be for small government and small taxes and fiscal responsibility. That is not the case any longer. The Republican Party is about political opportunism, political expedience. And that is not the kind of political party that has anything to do with conservatism. This border is wide open. There is no excuse for it. We only have statistics from 2021 about how many deaths fentanyl has killed or caused in this nation. From 2021, you know why we don't have 2022 stats or 2023 stats? Because the death toll is too high. That's why. And that border is open. The Republican Party is useless. The entire party. We need conservatism. We need a conservative party that looks to the Constitution, the decisions that have been made about the Constitution that are American as opposed to the decisions that are leftist. And we need to pursue that as a political imperative and to agitate and to push and advocate the Constitution of the United States reasonably in these United States. The greatest governmental charter in the history of the human endeavor needs to be protected by these people. I'm not talking about Rishi Sunak. That guy's got it. That's a political superstar right there. I realize that he's talking about gender and sex and people being able to choose or not choose whether they are male or female, et cetera, but that guy could be the next Margaret Thatcher because he is that clear-spoken, that clear-headed. And that is something that we need in these United States. Not everything Democrat is bad. Not everything Republican is good. As a matter of fact, Democrat and Republican, Hillary Clinton is talking about, we've got to get all these people together. No, you don't. We don't need a uniparty. We need these parties in an adversarial context, both working to the benefit of the people of the United States through the structure of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, not in spite of the Constitution and Bill of Rights, not setting it aside because it's just not convenient. Republican Party, I realize that Fourth Amendment, that Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, 14th Amendment, I realize those amendments are important, but it's just not convenient right now to actually stand up for them. Are you flipping kidding me? You got to be joking. And of course they're not. The simple case of this is as follows. What we are doing is not working. We have men competing on women's athletic teams. We have people openly discussing Marxism as a way of new life in the United States. We have people that are fascistically, as in the ways of the fascist, subduing people who disagree politically, up to and including chasing them down with this obnoxious and obscene lawfare. Hillary Clinton is talking about how can this guy be a serious political when he's under so many investigations and has so many court cases against him. Well, who put those court cases against him? His political enemies. And for what reason? For politics. This is a slow motion revolution. And right now, I got to be honest, they are winning. Time to reverse that trend in a big hurry, don't you think? The Wells Report continues in just a moment. Hour number 2, right around the corner.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Greetings, my name is John David Wells. What do we do here? We report the news, honestly and straightforwardly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. In short, we deep propagandize the mainstream media. We make commentary. That is not news. That is opinion, yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. And so, we've been talking a little bit about the Republican Party and its effect on the United States through the work of the Republican 8, the Gates 8, if you will, and the recoil of all of that, up to and including more Marxist rhetoric from Hillary Clinton, who was discussing the fact that these so-called radical Republicans have this tale of extremism. Yeah, this tale of willing to stand on their own 2 feetism, which is somewhat different. However, there's somebody that I respect dramatically. Her name is Ann, and Ann says, by the way, the Gates 8 don't give a flying flip about this country. Yeah. And she goes on to say, put up a bill. I asked, what did Kevin McCarthy do about a $33 trillion budget, or excuse me, a $33 trillion national debt? And she replied, put up a bill for a vote that passed the House, cutting spending. Of course, Schumer's Senate did not pass it. Well, is Kevin McCarthy part of a Republican Party that involves Matt Gaetz, or is he part of a Republican Party that includes Mitch McConnell? And the answer is the latter. In other words, Kevin McCarthy is a go along to get along Republican. The people that Hillary Clinton says, we really need to work on helping them out and helping their careers because they help us with our agenda, which is exactly the problem. Let's see, what else do we have here? Ann continued, maybe Gates should spend time getting Democrats to vote for America instead of running his head about McCarthy or whoever else is speaker. Gates is just a publicity hound. Why aren't the other 7 in the news? Well, they are, actually. They're talking about the simple case of who's going to be the speaker. They are speaking. The best talk on the topic are those basic tweets like a list of 5 grievances against McCarthy. Some of them were good, basic, and made sense. I like the act now attitude, says Thing, and so on. So anyway, what I wanted to say was this, is that, yeah, we're at a sea change. and the sea change involves the Republican Party. And like I said, I left the Republican Party because there isn't one there, and I want something that is going to actually do something about the left agenda, specifically, and this is part of it, it's not the only part, but specifically, what's going on with the LGBTQIA plus community. This from Roanoke, Virginia. So, University of Pennsylvania swimmer Lia Thomas is a biological male, complete with junk. Started the battle that he started, or she started, excuse me, nearly 2 years ago when the male swimmer proudly held firm to an NCAA Women's Swimming National Championship trophy, took a twist. This happened yesterday in Virginia. 10 members of the Roanoke College women's swim team stood up as a group to speak out for fairness in women's sports. And they should. And they did very, very well. So well, in fact, you need to be able to see this. So let's make that happen here on the Wells Report.
It is very nice to be here. My name is Riley Gaines, and quite frankly, I'm mad. Because we're here again. Another mediocre male athlete identifying as a woman, vying to compete on the women's team and turn into a women's record smasher without even trying. I saw firsthand the effects of this at our NCAA championships just a year and a half ago when we were forced to compete and change in the locker room with Lia, formerly Will Thomas. Just as a reminder, Thomas went from 462nd in the men's category to just a year later winning a national title in the women's category. I saw the tears, and I felt the extreme discomfort in the locker room, and I heard the whispers of anger, because that's what they were whispers of anger and frustration from those girls who, just like myself, just like the swimmers on Roanoke's team, who worked our entire lives to get to that meet, but who considered our feelings, the feelings we felt of betrayal and belittlement and violation, and who considered our privacy and our safety and our dignity and our equal opportunities. You might be wondering, how did we watch the 2021-2022 NCAA women's swimming and diving season unfold and not create policies to prevent this blatant injustice from happening to any other girl or woman again? Because any reasonable, sensible person would be able to see the harm that was being done by this infringement in a matter of seconds. It happened to us, and it's happening again at Roanoke College because we have weak leaders who are fine with women becoming collateral damage if it means being seen as kind and inclusive and compassionate. What politicians and unelected ideologues and the authority figures at Roanoke College are doing is actively working to undermine Title IX by allowing females to be displaced by males who merely claim the identity of a woman. And in doing so, they're sending a clear message to all girls and women. And it's a message that says we don't matter. A message that says our ability to give consent in areas of undressing is irrelevant. Because again, we're being kind and inclusive, and that's much more important. A message that we're not worthy of recognition. A message that we simply exist to validate the feelings and the identity of males. And then a message that says if we don't do so with a big smile on our face, then we're hateful bigots. Allowing males to compete on a women's team is and always will be unfair.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely correct. That was Riley Gaines. But the women's swim team stood up one at a time, approaching the rostrum, and spoke up with a similar message. The women had been demoralized and hurt by their Division III school after they returned to campus this fall, knowing that a biological male was seeking to join their team. My feelings, our team's feelings, and our comfort were blatantly ignored. Only one athlete was prioritized. That is the exact antithesis of team sport. This from 19-year-old Kate Pearson, one of the team's 3 captains. Bailey Gallagher, 20 years of age, who is the senior captain, echoed a similar message of the drama that played out at the private liberal arts school of nearly 1900 in Salem, Virginia. I felt unheard and unseen. Our comfort was undervalued and discarded. Numerous times we asked the school for support. Each and every time we were told to deal with it ourselves or told nothing at all. The school refused to give out information to our parents. We were informed that even if our entire swim team decided to stand together and not swim, in the name of unfairness, that was happening, our coach would have a one-athlete swim team. She repeated, a one person swim team. That information alone was the most discouraging and disheartening of all. Our school was prioritizing one individual swimmer over 17 women whose only request was fairness. That, right there, encapsulates the entire males competing in female sports agenda and context. Right there. One individual swimmer, a biological male who believes he is a female, over 17 biological females. I swam competitively for years. I worked as hard at that as I had ever worked on anything in my life. Toward the end of my career, I was throwing up 2 and 3 times in the pool. It was gross. Per practice. It was because I was working so hard to get faster and I just couldn't. My body had changed and there was just no getting back from that. Big, tall, flexible guys swim very fast. Tall, muscular guys don't swim very fast. They sink in the water. They become water polo players. It's just the way it is. And I had that body and I didn't have the Mark Spitz tall or the Michael Phelps big, tall, skinny, flexible body. And so my career came to an end. But I'd never worked that hard at anything in my life. And I was in the pool with mermaids. I was in the pool with female swimmers that worked as hard as I did, if not harder, to be as fast as they could possibly be. And to work for all of those years, only to have some guy who is slow by male standards completely overwhelm every female record that they compete against is preposterous on its face. These people are winning female scholarships. Is it because they're female? No. It's because this ridiculous charade of men as women is somehow being sustained by academia in charge of most of these competitions. Let's face it. High school sports and college sports, they're run by the left. Really? Yeah, really. It doesn't work in the pro game. It simply doesn't because the best eventually make their way to the field. But when you can determine who makes the field of endeavor, of the field of competition, based on your politics as opposed to reality, well, then you have a completely different kettle of fish, don't you? You do. Pun intended, by the way. Men, as the British Prime Minister said, men are men, women are women. No politics, no derangement, and that's not said as a put down. Gender dysphoria is perhaps the cruelest of the mental issues that people have, the mental illnesses that people have. And that is simply the case. Gender dysphoria is cruel. Because no matter what you do, you are going to be confronted with the fact that you believe that you are the wrong gender. With virtually every act that you make based on gender, for example, using the restroom, having a shower. And then what can happen is that you can be put in front of people who will alter you physically so you resemble a female, if you are male, remove your ability to procreate, even have an adequate sex life. And so you look like a female, but then you realize even then you're not. And then what happens? And you're through the looking glass at that point. Everybody talks about all these transgender kids that are suicidal. What about the transgender kids that went through the process and realized that it was essentially a bag of nothing? It was a cruel ruse based on politics. What's the suicide rate of those people? It's at least as high. At least. This is preposterous. It must stop. It will. And it should. This is the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. Speaking of the endeavor of sports and those who succeed beyond imagination, one of the greatest NFL football players to ever put on an NFL uniform has passed. We are going to tell his story coming up in just a couple of moments, or at least a small particle of his story. We are going to discuss the legendary Dick Butkus, for those people who have no idea who this guy is. Stick around. You're going to learn about somebody who transcended the best of the best for the sake of pure sport endeavor competition. And he did it perhaps better than anyone. We'll have that for you in a moment. Our telephone number, 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. The Wells Report in progress for Fishing Shirt Friday.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Dick Butkus has passed. The man who absolutely defined the role of middle linebacker in the National Football League. He was brutal. He was fierce. He was mean. He would punch you in the face when he played. Punching someone in the face was illegal, but barely. He'd run you down, past the out-of-bounds lines, push you into the bench, and wait for you to do something about it. You wouldn't. You were too frightened. Number 10 on the all-time NFL list, Dick Butkus was 80 years of age. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I want you to watch this. This is just a small little smidgen of somebody who had such a role in the NFL, there would be no way to discuss the NFL without mentioning the name of Dick Butkus.
Dick made big things happen when he hit people. I mean, that's the one thing that he could do to change the game. It was just awesome. So you had to get him blocked because he's going to make a play from sideline to sideline. I played for the 49ers, and I was there 1 year ahead of Dick. I came in 1964, Dick came in 65. Interestingly enough, he really didn't take on the blocker. Dick would actually do everything that he could to avoid you. He may olay you like a bullfighter and then keep right on going. Dick didn't even care about you. He just wanted that ball carrier.
I want to just let them know that they've been hit. And when they get up, they don't have to look to see who was that hit them. Shouldn't be any puzzle. When they come to, they got to say, well, it must have been Butkus that got me.
By the time Dick had played maybe a year or two, he was pretty outspoken. He'd be talking during the game. He kind of played with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, if you were going to push him around, he was going to turn around and he was ready to be combative. I never examined his inner thoughts and didn't talk to him about those things, but if he could intimidate somebody, he was going to do that because he could.
Dick Butkus was much more than an intimidator. In just 9 seasons, he forced 47 turnovers, including a then NFL record 25 fumble recoveries. His career was cut short by a broken down knee, but not before Butkus had played every down of football he possibly could. He stood for something just as important as victory. He gave everything he had on every play.
In '69, I was traded to the Bears, and we won 1 game. We beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. We won 1 game, and he was named Defensive Player of the Year. It's really quite a remarkable accomplishment when you think about what a lousy team it was. Jim Dooley had just taken over for George Halas, and he was the team leader and all that. So Jim Dooley had a team meeting, and Butkus said, "Hey, Jim, let me talk." And so Jim Dooley, let him talk. It's Dick. So Dick says, "You know, we wouldn't have any problems here if you guys would get your head out of your ass and play like you're supposed to play." And that was the end of the meeting.
Wow. Yeah, that was Dick Butkus. If you ever saw him play, and I did, everything that you just heard about him was abundantly true. He was an amazing football player, and he was an amazing man. He went on to have a very successful Hollywood career as an actor. He was always authentic. When he was a football player, he was an authentic football player, a pro's pro. And when he was an actor, he was authentically in his character because he was an honest man. Dick Butkus, 80 years of age. We are going to miss you as a human being, but we're going to miss what you represent even more, Dick. God bless you. And may you always live in eternity in our hearts. Back with more in a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I'm John David Wells. As you know, this was the week where we saw the removal, for the first time in American history, a Speaker of the House of Representatives. That fate befell Kevin McCarthy, the Republican from California, who will join the rank and file of the Republican caucus, not as a Speaker, but as a member. There is, of course, a need for the Republican Party to determine who their next Speaker will be. The interim Speaker, the pro tempore Speaker of the House of Representatives, essentially gave everybody a week off so they could cool their tempers and figure out a way forward. I suspect that's going to be very quick. I suspect that a brand new Speaker will be named on Wednesday of next week, and that will be that, and things will move forward. There have been a lot of names mentioned, specifically Jim Jordan, Steve Scalise, and yes, Donald John Trump. And we're going to discuss a lot of that. Now, for his part, Donald Trump has endorsed Jim Jordan of Ohio to be the new Speaker of the House. He'd make a great speaker. This is someone that everyone respects. From the Gates 8, as Ann so perfectly named them, to everybody else in the caucus. Jim Jordan is a political superstar. He has a clear idea of what's going forward, and I do believe that he understands that the Democrat Party for decades has been playing the Republican Party for fools. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be a complete jerk. That does, however, mean that he's going to stand up for Republican principles. I believe we'll have to see. I thought Kevin McCarthy would be a great speaker too, but he went down the road of the go along, get along, Republican enablement of Democrat priority that so many of his predecessors had done across those very same decades. But this time a group of people who were described as hard right conservatives said no. They said no because of a $33 trillion national debt. They said no because of a $2 trillion plus budget deficit. They said no because promises were made and not kept. And those, of course, are open to discussion. But the one that really irks me, Kevin McCarthy said he was going to release the January 6th tapes in total. Why hasn't he? I'll tell you why. Because he's playing games with Democrats. The Democrats don't want those videos to come out. They'll cause too many questions to be asked. They want to sweep that under the rug because it's another horrific abuse of the American people by the Democrat Party. They know it. The January 6th committee destroyed all of their evidence. That was something that they should have been held accountable for immediately. And again, Kevin McCarthy was absent. So anyway, he's past tense. Who's next? President Donald Trump has endorsed Jim Jordan. And he also says that he would be interested if he was asked. Jordan is strong on crime, borders, our military vets, and Second Amendment, Trump said in a post early this morning on Truth Social. He will be a great Speaker of the House. Hours earlier, Trump had been asked if House Republicans couldn't reach a consensus on a candidate, whether he would step in. They asked me if I would consider taking the speakership until they got somebody longer term because I am running for president, he told Fox News. Troy Nehls, the Republican from Texas, who had planned to nominate Trump for Speaker, said last night on X, formerly Twitter, that the former president called him to say he's endorsing Jim Jordan. I believe Congress should listen to the leader of our party. A handful of GOP lawmakers, most of them hardliners, removed McCarthy as Speaker on Tuesday, leaving the lower chamber paralyzed. This according to USA Today. That's biased language. As House Republicans scramble to find a new leader, the House cannot conduct important business, such as passing the spending bills needed to avoid a government shutdown. They have been kicked down the road until the end of November, and so they have that long to get all this done. Like I said, this is going to be done on Wednesday. And there are talking heads, and these talking heads are speaking about all manners of things. One of them, in fact, is stepping up to the plate to do so on CNN. Let me play that tape for you.
Donald Trump has incredible sway among the House Republican Conference. They listen very closely to what he says. He's got a lot of loyalists there, much more so than the Senate, although, that there are more Trump loyalists there now. When he was president, a single Trump tweet could send the House, spinning out, basically, and that reality still exists. He is frankly done more on that score to lock down support among the House GOP conference. So from this perspective, it says to me it's going to be much harder for a Steve Scalise to get to 218 votes needed to be Speaker, because a lot of those people are going to listen to Donald Trump and back Jim Jordan. Now, the second piece of this is those moderates that Kristen was talking about, and they are a very critical bloc, but there's a key difference between the moderates and the hardliners. The moderates think governing is important, and their interests are not around a prolonged vacancy here with the speakership. They've not been as willing, because they care about governance, to blow up everything in order to get what they want. And so I think it's much more likely that you see them work behind the scenes to figure out how to work with this than to openly revolt against it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen. You know, they made their point. They do have this available, and yes, the rules of one person being able to take down a speaker or at least make a motion to vacate the chair, that's probably going to go the way of all things. Nancy Pelosi made that change when she became the Speaker of the House, and it was changed when Kevin McCarthy, that's one of the deals that Kevin McCarthy made, to be able to ascend to the speakership, something that he had worked for a very long time. Now, the machinations of party politics have always frustrated me and made me angry because, to me, there is a line that is regularly ruptured by both parties where party business becomes more important than the nation. Arguably, you could say this about Gates and the Gates 8. You could say that if you wanted to. But nobody has tried to actually address any of these issues that are incredibly important to me, up to the point where I am calling for the removal of everybody in the American government through peaceful voting, of course. And everybody who's listening to this voice, I still say the same thing. Everybody should vote for somebody else. You don't have to vote for a Republican if you're a Democrat. You don't have to vote for a Democrat if you're a Republican. Just vote for somebody else. The words "we the people" don't mean anything to these politicians. They believe the Constitution starts with we the politicians. That's the way they act. A reminder that we the people own this nation is sorely needed at this point. We simply must tell these people, hey, you need to stop. And if you don't stop yourselves, we'll stop you for you. And that's what needs to happen. But because we can't do anything about that until 2024, and this is still 2023, then we talk a little bit about who the Speaker of the House would be. I believe that Donald Trump has made it plain that he is going to support Jim Jordan, and I think Jim Jordan is wonderful. But I also have to point this out. Steve Scalise is a brilliant congressman. He is. He's been on this broadcast. As a matter of fact, it was wonderful. I called him on the phone because we were talking about some issue that involved Louisiana and Republicans and blah, 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 blah. And I called him on the phone and said, is there any chance? And he was right there. He was right there. And so I spoke with Steve Scalise, and he made a huge positive impression on me. But Steve Scalise is dealing with multiple myeloma. That is blood cancer. He was shot by a Democrat extremist terrorist. Okay. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. They call us terrorists. Well, we can return the favor. So anyway, this guy was shot at a practice of the Republican congressional baseball team. He's never been the same. He's still recovering from that, and he's having trouble with it too. Steve Scalise would make an excellent speaker, but I just don't believe that we should put somebody in that office that struggles so with his health and struggles so with the outcome of a heinous act by a Democrat extremist. So that leaves Jim Jordan and a handful of others, but I believe that Jim Jordan is the right guy for the Republican Party. Now remember, I'm not a Republican. I'm not planning on telling the caucus what to do. I mean, I've tried to tell the Republican caucus what to do, but they ignore me successfully. They have done so for years, and I don't expect that's going to change. However, I do believe that there has to be something that would change. And now let's talk a little bit about Donald Trump. Let's talk a little bit about Donald Trump. He said he was open to be a unifying force for the Republican Party as Speaker. So one day after the House voted to remove, this is from Forbes magazine, one day after the House voted to remove Kevin McCarthy from the speakership, Jim Jordan, an outspoken Trump ally who stood by the president during his 2 impeachments after the January 6th insurrection, and after the January 6th insurrection, used the House Judiciary Committee to launch dogged investigations into Democrats, became the first GOP member to launch a speakership bid day before yesterday. Hours later, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise threw his hat into the ring. A handful of other Republicans have been speculated to make runs, including Representative Andy Biggs. Jordan told NBC that he had spoken to Trump about his bid for House Speaker, and he did not provide details on the conversation. He said he had a great talk with the former president. Trump slammed House Republicans on social media. Truth Social asking why Republicans are always fighting among themselves instead of fighting the radical left. Now, there are a lot of reasons why Donald Trump would indeed serve. He would serve if the GOP cannot gather enough votes for another candidate. He said he would not do it because I want to, but because he had been approached by Republicans to take the position and would offer to do it until a longer-term replacement would be put in place. House rules do not prohibit non-members from being elected to the speakership, though Trump's 4 indictments since his 2024 presidential campaign could keep him from becoming speaker because, according to GOP conference rules, state that indicted leadership members with 2+ year sentences shall step aside. Trump did not rule out a potential run to succeed McCarthy after the California Republicans' historic ouster, while at least 3 House Republicans said they would back Trump in a speaker vote. An anonymous GOP lawmaker familiar with the matter told NBC News that Trump's intentions with the visit, which is he's going to make on Tuesday, would be to unify the party. And people immediately smirked on leftist news channels talking about Trump unifying anything. Well, that's because they're thinking with their politics instead of with their brain. Donald Trump, like him, hate him, what have you, is a deal maker. Not only would Donald Trump unify the Republican Party, he would unify the House, because he would actually force the Democrat Party to stake out a position through negotiations. Okay, what do you guys really want? What do you need? And Donald Trump would point out the things that were absolutely not possible. He would point out the things that he thought were un-American. And he would say those are non-starters. Let's move on to something that is a starter. Let's talk about common ground first. And he would find a deal with Democrats that everybody could live with, and they would move forward. Same thing with the Republican Party. Nobody is going to put up a motion to vacate the chair if Donald Trump is sitting in it. Why? Well, last we heard, he had 74 million people behind him saying, you're not going to remove Donald Trump as Speaker. But Donald Trump doesn't want to be Speaker. Somebody asked me whether I would support Donald Trump as Speaker of the House of Representatives. I said no, absolutely not. I want him in this presidential chase. He might very well be the President of the United States. I don't know. Only the people of the United States know. I don't know. I got to vote. Have I decided to vote for Donald Trump? I'm not so sure. No, because I'm still waiting to see if anybody else steps up. I'm going to vote for the best candidate, I'll tell you that. And I don't care what party they're from. I'm voting for the best candidate. And I'm watching a lot of people. They haven't necessarily disqualified themselves yet. Nobody has. I'm considering everybody. Because that's what you're supposed to do. Especially more than a year out from the election, excuse me, for crying out loud. But like I said, Donald Trump, I do believe that all of these legal issues, I believe that's lawfare. That's exactly what I believe it is. And you don't have to believe me, but this is a grotesque, insidious, disgusting, awful move by the political left in this nation because they don't have any choice. Donald Trump will change the United States back to something that we more recognize as Americans, as opposed to what leftists want or what right-wingers want. And that speaks very highly of him because I am an American. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I'm an American. I have children. I have 4 sons. I want them to grow up in a country better than the country that I grew up in. And Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, all those people don't speak a language that I care to pay much attention to because it's not American. And that is not what I am. The Wells Report in progress. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. What do you think about all this? Give us a call. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. Greetings. My name is John David Wells. There is one piece of news that I talked about earlier today that I want to share with you one more time, and that has to do with an ABC News allegation that Donald Trump discussed U.S. nuclear submarines with foreign nationals, specifically a friend of his from Australia. Yeah, apparently what ended up happening at the Mar-a-Lago Club is that Anthony Pratt, who is a Mar-a-Lago member, he's a member of the club, he runs U.S.-based Pratt Industries. He is an Aussie. Apparently, he had a conversation about U.S. nuclear submarine capability with Donald Trump. Here's the paragraph you need to be aware of. According to the account described by sources, okay, so this is 3 times hearsay. Pratt told Trump he believed Australia should start buying its submarines from the United States, to which An excited Trump, leaning forward to Pratt as if to be discreet, then told Pratt two pieces of information about U.S. submarines: the supposed exact number of nuclear warheads they routinely carry and exactly how close they supposedly can get to a Russian submarine without being detected. And ABC, of course, is horrified by all of that. All right. Let me bring you up to date on the Yasin class nuclear submarine. It is a nuclear-powered cruise missile submarine of the Russian Navy. And let me explain just a few things about it, okay? It is 456 feet long. The beam is 43 feet. It drafts 28 feet. In other words, that's the part of the submarine, that's how deep the submarine is underwater. It goes about down 28 feet. It has one KPM-type pressurized water reactor. It can go 20 knots on the surface, 28 knots submerged, 35 knots maximum speed. It is a beast of a submarine. It truly is. As a matter of fact, there's some other information here that I want to tell you about. Let's see. It can dive to 1,475 feet. That's 450 meters. The never exceed depth is 1,804 feet. The crush depth is 2,160 feet. Okay. Yeah. And there are like 4 of them and so on and so on. All right. Now that's the Yasin class submarine. That's basically information that was covered in this ABC News report having to do with the Virginia class submarine. Well, let's talk about that. The Virginia class is 377 feet long. It's the longer ones are 460 feet. The beam is 34 feet. It's powered by an S9G nuclear reactor, 280,000 horsepower. Speed on the surface is 25 knots. They don't tell you what the speed is under the water. The test depth is over 800 feet. They don't tell you how deep it goes. And they go on to talk about the actual weaponry. Okay, nuclear warheads being carried? Yeah. Tomahawk cruise missiles. There are 12 VLS tubes. That means that there are 12 Tomahawk missiles. All of them can be nuclear capable. There are 21-inch torpedo tubes for Mark 48 torpedoes or UGM-84 Harpoon missiles. They are also capable of nuclear warheads. So that's, let's see, they have 25 torpedoes and missiles, 12 missiles in the VLS tubes for a grand total of 37 weapons. All can be nuclear. Nothing that President Trump has talked about in this conversation with Mr. Pratt has anything to do with what is classified or unclassified. Again, ABC News is simply looking to throw mud on President Trump, but all this information is available to you. It took me about 30 seconds to come up with all of these stats on all of these ships. This Yasin-class submarine, man, this thing's a beast. It really is. November 7th, we even know the name of it. The Severodvinsk successfully launched a Caliber cruise missile from a submerged position at a sea target in the White Sea. Later that month, the submarine successfully test-fired 2 additional Caliber cruise missiles, the land attack version. The launches occurred on 26 November 2012. So ABC News is simply trying to create problems for Donald Trump and say, my God, the way he handles classified information. None of the information he discussed was classified. There's a book out there called Jane's Fighting Ships. It's got all this information in it. I wanted to subscribe, but I couldn't afford it. All of this stuff. By the way, the 2 new nuclear submarines that Russia has put to sea are virtually silent. Now, that's obviously classified insofar as the United States government is going to say they're silent. But believe me, they figured out a way to track them. But they're not going to announce the fact that they've tracked them because essentially they want the Russians to think that they're untrackable. And they're pretty dang close to it. But everything makes noise. Everything does. You just have to figure it all out. And so all of these submarines that are out there, most of the information that, that I know about submarines is out in open source. The stuff that isn't in open source is none of my business, and therefore is none of your business, unless you're a submariner. You don't even want to know. Why would you even bother? The President of the United States, Donald Trump in this case, is having a conversation with a club member and did not spill any classified information whatsoever, at least according to that report. And it's all hearsay anyway? When are we going to get back to journalism in this country? Well, I can tell you exactly when it's going to happen, at least in some parts. It's going to happen Monday morning at 9 a.m. right here on the Wells Report. We do journalism here. We actually do the work behind the scenes to actually give you information you can use. And I'm not the only one. Dirk Steele is our executive producer. Jude Dankworth is our associate and our publicist. And I'm John David Wells. Have a great weekend. See you Monday. And there we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. All right. That is all I've got. Yes, Gary, I will see you for lunch. And not that I'm having you for lunch. I'm just, I will see you for lunch. And as far as the rest of it goes, God bless all y'all. Take good care, okay? I'm going to get back at it and keep your fishing shirt on. Just because the show's over doesn't mean you can take your fishing shirt off, okay? Peace, love, joy. I'll talk to you later.